I have had many people asking me about the ability to stick to a keto diet, well, basically complaining that they could never stick to a keto diet. And how do I do it? And the number one reason that most people give for not believing that they're going to be able to stick to keto is this idea that they're not going to like the foods that they need to eat, and they're not going to be able to just see everybody else eating the fun things and not eat them too. And until very, very recently, most of my argument against this has been, but the food is healthy, so therefore you just eat it, because the benefit of your health that you're going to get is so much more than the taste of the food, right? Like we're going to make the trade that says that because I just love how good I feel, I'm going to do it. More recently, I've encountered two things that have changed my perspective on this. And I feel like it gives me a better way to explain what's going to happen. The first thing I want to say, I remember having a conversation with my parents and talking about how picky of an eater my daughter was, and still is till this day. She doesn't like texture matters, and right, like if she doesn't like something, she doesn't want to eat it. And they were very fast to remind me I'm the same way. If I don't like the way something tastes, I don't eat it. And when they said that to me, I had to pause and really, it's true. If I don't like something, I'm not going to eat it. So how was I able to just completely change my diet? And the truth is, the beginning of it was exactly what I said. This idea that if I eat the foods that I've been eating and I keep going forward like this, I'm risking having a surgery to stop my hip from hurting me. That idea compared to if I just eat healthier food, I'm not going to be in that problem. That was very appealing to me. But something else came to me that I've been thinking back on, like how my keto life actually started. When I was faced with the idea that what I was going to do from now on was eat healthy vegetables, the first thing I did was figure out some vegetables to eat, because at that point in time, I actually was not eating any vegetables, Wellness Warrior. I want you to understand that what I ended up doing was so different from my normal diet. But I did it anyways because I had this belief and understanding that this was going to give me a pain-free life. It also ended up giving me a life at the correct weight. I didn't know that at the time. I know that now. You know that because I'm telling you that if you eat healthy every single day, not only are you going to solve your pain issues or your weight issues, like vice versa. So if you're coming into this for weight, you're going to solve any pain issues you have. If you're coming into this for pain, you're going to solve any weight issues you have. But what I did at the very, very, very beginning, because I wasn't eating any vegetables, was I went and found some vegetables to eat, which means now I needed to figure out, how do I cook these vegetables? I took the time to invest in figuring out what ways could I spice my vegetables that I would like eating them. That was step one. So in fact, because I didn't start off liking vegetables, I had this belief, like you, that this is going to be horrible. I'm not going to like what I'm eating. I had all those ideas, but then because I gave myself a bit of permission to spice things and cook things and ask people for recipes, and I did the thing because I didn't even know what vegetable to start with. And I just started with something. I went to the store and I bought a bunch. Okay, so that's part one, is what are you eating? What vegetables are you eating? And cook them in a way that you like. But there was another piece of this puzzle that came back to me recently, and yesterday amplified it. It put it in my face in a very strong way. So at some point in time in my eating history, I completely remember hating, not just disliking, hating avocado. I've mentioned this a bunch of times. If my mom put avocado in anything, I was crying. I hated avocado. And then I got introduced to guacamole. And when I started eating guacamole, I kind of realized that, okay, if you put the right things in avocado, it could taste okay. And then I became keto. And when I became keto and started to get healthy, I learned that tomatoes and one of the key things that I was putting in my guacamole to make it taste good to me was tomatoes. So eventually I took the tomatoes out, and then I realized that, oh my goodness, some of the spices in the guacamole, some of the spices I was putting in the guacamole were also having nightshades in them, like peppers and other things, and there was whatever. So I ended up taking out so much out of my guacamole that eventually I was just eating avocado and salt. But the kicker was I liked it. Somehow, over the course of months, I went from hating the taste of plain avocado to actually liking the taste of avocado with salt and getting to the point where I just like the taste of avocado. So that fast forward to yesterday. Yesterday was Good Friday. And on Good Friday, I observe Good Friday, so I don't eat meat. Now, I've been keto now for how many years now? I've been keto for 6 years. And in that 6-year span of time, I've done 5 Good Fridays. And I did on Good Friday what I do on every other Good Friday that I've ever done in my life. I ate the fish begrudgingly because that's all I was allowed to eat that day. Now, I will say that in the last 5 years, I had an option. Because in the last 5 years, I had the option to eat the fish, or I could choose to just fast because I was now able to fast. And that was a fun unlock for me, but I never used it. But it just, knowing that I didn't actually have to eat the fish made me feel just that little bit more in control of my life, in control of what was happening to me, and that felt good. So let's fast forward to yesterday, Good Friday. And we go and we buy some salmon, and I'm kind of testing myself. Do I feel like eating today? Do I not feel like eating today? Now, I'm no longer keto. I became carnivore 2 months ago. So I'm no longer, and I'm really carnivore this time. Not like the first time I did carnivore where I was still using spices and all that stuff. The only plant that's still left in my life is the coffee that I drink in the morning. Besides that, there's no plants in my diet. So to me, that's a huge step forward. And yesterday, I had to decide, am I having food today? So I'm either fasting or I'm having the salmon that we bought. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have the salmon. And since we were eating at my home, I said, I'm going to cook it. Now, normally, whenever we make fish, Pat cooks it. But you know what? I decided to cook it. So I cooked it the way that I normally would, just salt, butter, lard. That's it. And Wellness Warrior, was I surprised when I took a bite and it tasted good. It wasn't just, I can get through this meal. It tasted good. And all of a sudden, I'm back in that story where I'm being forced to pay attention to the fact that the reason I don't like to eat healthy food is because my mouth was trained on unhealthy food. And here we are in a situation where I'm actually 2 months into not even having a plant on my plate, and all I've been eating is healthy food. And already the huge impact on the food that I'm interacting with, that I was able to not just suffer down some salmon, it tasted good. Now, I'm going to add a wrinkle because my father taught me that the reason that I don't like fish is because the fishy taste of the skin, it's in the skin. And so for the last 5 years, or well, for as long as he taught me that, I would go out to restaurants and I would just eat the fish and I would leave the skin back because I understood now that that's where the fishy taste was. And yesterday when I was almost finished eating, Pat's like, "Oh, but you're not going to eat the skin. That's where all the fat is. Like, how are you not going to eat the fat?" And I honestly thought he was trolling me. He was like trying to get me, to eat, put the thing that he knows is going to make me like, he likes to torture me sometimes. And I was saying though, but I had 4 eggs and I still had scallops, and all of that was cooked in butter. And I was pretty sure I had enough fat that I would get through till to this morning, no problem. So I was kind of pushing back on that a little bit. But he said, "But you know what, Violet, you cook it so well. There's not even a fishy taste in the skin." Again, I'm thinking he's trying to trick me. He just wants to see me put this thing in my mouth and be grossed out. But I took a bite of it just to see, like, and guess what? It tasted fine. First of all, it was very low in fishy flavor. Like, I didn't taste any fishy flavor, which is weird. But I will also say that it was wild caught, so maybe that played a role. But can I just add to it? It tasted fine. It didn't taste gross. It didn't taste horrible. I was shocked. And I'll be honest, as I was eating it, and I would say I ate about half the skin. So on a 4 pound, on a 450 gram, so 1 pound piece of fish, I ate about half the skin that was on that. And I would even say more than half the skin, because I ate almost all of it up to the darkest parts. I started on the lighter. I don't even know why I thought that was going to make a difference. I started at the lighter colored portion, and I almost finished it. But the reason I stopped eating was because I was full, comfortably full. And I was in shock while this story. So, one of the things that I want us to be able to really, really understand is that there are ideas that we walk around with that say that we don't like this and we hate that. And there's all of these healthy foods, and we think we love the fun foods and they taste so good and they're so delicious. And we just don't understand that what's really happening is our addiction is pulling us towards these foods that are not healthy for us. And they're causing us to eat things that we shouldn't be eating, that's harming our health, that's raising our weight, that's ruining our insulin levels, which then throws all of our hormones out of whack, causing us to be anxious, depressed, and all kinds of other mental health problems. And all based on our fear of eating healthy food, our fear of not liking our meals, our fear of not getting to be like everybody else, when in fact, it's exactly the opposite that's going to be healthy for us. The more that we let ourselves eat the healthy foods, the more that our mind and mouth, like our taste buds turn over, because we get new taste buds every X number of days, and I can't remember what the number is, or I would say it, but every few days we get new taste buds, and when they turn over and we just learn to enjoy these new flavors, that helps us to eat healthy, and it helps us to do it more regularly. One of the things that's interesting, and I keep saying this all the time, when you go to China, a lot of their junk food incorporates fish flavors. Like there's in other countries, the dominant flavor isn't just strictly sweet. Isn't just strictly the sweet and sour thing that we're constantly doing here in North America. And I feel like we don't let ourselves understand enough that the flavors that we train our mouth on are the flavors that are going to dominate, and then that's what we're going to be looking for when we go to eat. And by eating healthy, I've retrained my palate, and it's amazing. I'm so happy that that's what has happened, because for the first time that I can remember in the history of being me, I enjoyed my meal on Good Friday. And I've had fish cooked in really high-end restaurants on Good Friday. All right? Because we went out to eat for whatever reason. And so now I'm out on a Good Friday in a really nice restaurant eating a very well-prepared, chef-prepared piece of fish. I've had my dad, who also is a chef, prepare me fish on different occasions, but usually it's my mom that cooks fish. Like my mom cooks at home because my dad does it for a living. So it was usually my mom cooking the meals on Good Friday. But it has occurred that on a few occasions my dad made it. Still, it didn't matter who cooked it. I did not like it. And here we are, just salt. I can taste the flavor of the actual fish. I did not just tolerate it, Wellness Warrior. I enjoyed it. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. If you let your body heal, if you let your palate change over, eating the healthy food gets easier because you actually enjoy it. And that's amazing. So I want every one of you to just think about what would happen? How long would it take? I've only been carnivore for 2 months and I liked the taste of fish. You can do it too. I want you to put in the comments below. Are you a picky eater? Is that why you're so afraid of doing keto or carnivore? Because if anything, I hope that this video helps you to see that it doesn't have to stay like that. You can just change the way that you're interacting with food by changing the way that you interact with food. Let me know in the comments. What's the food that you're avoiding? What's the food that you're chasing? And what's the goal that you have for yourself going forward? What is it that you would like to be able to do once you get healthy? I'm looking forward to hearing all of these things from you.